Today, I'm going to talk about correcting belt drift on an underdesk treadmill. Now, there's no belt drift here, unfortunately. You'll know it when you see it. Basically, one side is too tight, is too close, and the other side is too loose. There's too much space. That's belt drift. If you let it go too long, then it won't simply be a matter of one side having too much space and another side having not enough space. If you let that go for too long, it will continue to drift and it'll bunch the belt up into one side and it'll totally ruin your belt. And to repair a belt on a treadmill is no easy DIY task. You'll have to have a specialist come and repair the belt, or you'll have to ship the treadmill all the way back to the manufacturer for them to repair it. So you do not want to let belt drift go too far. How far is too far? Well, if the belt is basically invisible on one side and too visible on the other, that's too far. If you see just a little bit of rolling pin on one side, you're still in the safe zone. But if it's completely invisible on one side, you have to fix this immediately. Some treadmills develop belt drift right out the gate. The Go Plus treadmills are notorious for this. People will get belt drift within the week. Some treadmills take a lot longer to develop it. I owned a Go Youth before this. This is the EgoFit Comfort Deck M2. This is my favorite underdesk treadmill by a lot. I'll post a link comparing some of the alternatives. Neither of these developed belt drift for a good while. But belt drift is inevitable. It happens to all treadmills and you just have to keep up with it. It is not hard to fix. All you have to do is you take an Allen wrench, one usually comes with the treadmill, and you put it into the side that is already too tight. And you're going to tighten that. So you tighten the tight side. That seems counterintuitive, but the intuition is by tightening one side, you're pulling the rolling pin closer on that side, and you're creating a sort of flow for the belt to fall down. So it's drifting the other direction to make the correction. So if this side is too tight, if the belt is invisible on this side, you put the Allen wrench in that side and you tighten it like a quarter turn, okay? You run the belt, you keep the belt running while you're doing this because it's going to be making the corrections as you're tightening it, and you want to see those corrections in action. So you run this, let's say 2 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour, faster than 1 mile an hour because the correction would take too long to become visible, slower than, let's say 6 miles an hour because you don't want it to become out of hand. You lose control over the belt drifting too far now the other direction. So somewhere in the middle, let's say 2 miles an hour. Run the belt 2 to 3 miles an hour, crank it a quarter turn tighter, righty-tighty, clockwise. A quarter turn, crank it, and just see if it seems to be like drifting a little bit back in the correct direction. Okay, no, crank it another quarter turn. Just wait and see if it corrects itself. And just keep doing that, one quarter turn, until it looks like it has corrected itself and you've got a generally equal gap on both sides. Now, that's it. Then you leave it. Another counterintuitive aspect is you don't then correct the other side. It almost seems like if you got this side drifting it that way, and now you're in a good regime, the fear is that it's now going to be belt drifting the opposite direction. And now you've got the opposite problem. So I think a lot of people think they have to tighten one side, wait for it to fix itself, and then loosen it back to its original, or tighten the other side to compensate. You don't. What you do is you tighten the side that has a problem and then you leave it like for good. That's it. That's all you do. You tighten the side with the problem. And then eventually the belt drift will come back. It's just a natural consequence of, your gait, the way you walk, one foot this way. Maybe you lean a little bit too far this direction or this direction, or even just jostling the framework of the treadmill too much over time. It just eventually creates belt drift. It's just an inevitable thing that you have to deal with. I'd say once every month tops. But all you do, again, you just crank the side that's tight, a few quarter turns until it fixes the problem, and then you walk away. You're good to go for a while.